So we just went over Pam Bondi's career highlights, so to speak, who was recently named Trump's new attorney general pick. Here are two more Trump picks, Treasury Secretary and Labor Secretary. Two picks that are sort of inherently at odds with each other no matter who fills them, so to speak. But in this case, you have two visions here. Who has Trump picked for his cabinet? Scott Bessent, Lori Chavez-DeRemer join nominees. So let's look at Scott Bessent. Donald Trump is closing out the week with another batch of cabinet nominations on Friday. The president-elect has picked former Soros Fund Management Chief Investment Officer Scott Bessent to be the next Treasury Secretary. Through the cabinet position, Bessent would help maintain the U.S. dollar status as the reserve currency of the world, Trump said in a statement. The 62-year-old Yale alum who founded Key Square Capital Management in 2015 has supported Trump's economic policy of deregulation, increasing domestic energy production, and tax cuts. Pending Senate approval, Bessent will advise Trump on matters relating to financial, economic, and tax policy. So Michael Tracy, who's been really on these nominees, he's been great. He's been finding all of the receipts. Scott Bessent, a billionaire hedge fund manager who raised tens of millions for Trump and was previously the chief investment officer of the Soros Fund Management, has been named Treasury Secretary. The great populist anti-establishment revolution continues apace. Scott Bessent worked for Soros Fund Management from 1991 to 2000, then again as chief investment officer from 2011 to 2015. I know we're all supposed to have fruit fly memories, but I definitely recall Soros being a huge right-wing bugbear back in the ancient days of the 2010s. Yes, indeed. And of course, he pulls this headline from the Financial Times, another devastating blow to the establishment. A sigh of relief as Wall Street welcomes Donald Trump's pick of Scott Bessent for Treasury Secretary. So the good old boys, the Chamber of Commerce types, very happy with this pick for Treasury, but not so much with this next pick. Representative Lori Chavez-DeRemer from Oregon is Trump's pick to lead the Labor Department. The one-term Oregon representative previously served as mayor of Happy Valley, a suburban city in the Portland area. That's where Matt Gaetz is going to move to. He's going to relocate to Happy Valley. She lost her re-election bid for the state's 5th congressional district to Democratic challenger, State Representative Janelle Bynum. So, yes, she is currently serving, but she lost her election this year, one of the very, very few Democrat pickups, because she won as a Republican. A pretty blue area. I mean, the Portland, Oregon suburbs, that's not great terrain for a conservative campaign. And she's one of the leftmost conservative. What's that?
A lot of Ukraine flags.
Yeah, a lot of Ukraine flags there. Yes, exactly. And as we'll see here, she is one of the leftmost Republicans in the caucus, which makes this pick very interesting. During her campaign, Chavez-DeRemer received endorsements from the largest federal employees union and several public safety unions, including United Food and Commercial Workers. As a Republican, got those union endorsements. So Sean O'Brien from the Teamsters says, "Thank you, Donald Trump, for putting American workers first by nominating Lori Chavez-DeRemer for U.S. Labor Secretary. Nearly a year ago, you joined us for a Teamsters roundtable and pledged to listen to workers and find common ground to protect and respect labor in America. You put words into action. Now let's grow wages and improve working conditions nationwide. Congratulations to Lori Chavez-DeRemer on your nomination. North America's strongest union is ready to work with you every step of the way to expand good union jobs and rebuild our nation's middle class. Let's get to work." Rebecca Rainey says Representative Lori Chavez-DeRemer is one of the few Republicans to sign on to the PRO Act, which would codify the ABC test at the federal level, ban captive audience meetings and class action waivers, override state right-to-work laws, among other major changes to federal labor law. Trump nominating Lori Chavez-DeRemer here says El Super Mexican for Labor Secretary of Labor is absolutely insane. So this is a conservative account not happy about this. Teachers love her. Afuera! Free market advocates hate her. Afuera! Elon Musk opposes her. Afuera! Independent workers hate her. Afuera! She will force people to join unions. Afuera! Trump sold us out to repay union chiefs. So now the chuds are pissed off about. Like, they're revolting
Right.
over this one,
Right.
right?
Right.
Can't please everybody, I suppose. Dominic Pino, it's not pro-worker to be pro-union. That's a hell of a formulation.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Exactly.
I
Representative.
remember when I used to drive a horse and carriage, I had a guy in the back of the carriage when I said that the carriages were unionizing. He was very upset by this. Oh, why do you want to do that? That's terrible. Wow, that is a peasant mind. That's a peasant. Wow. You're really upset about horse and carriage drivers unionizing. And the only reason they unionized was to fight PETA.
Right. Lori Chavez-DeRemer failed to understand that and lost re-election. Don't reward her with a cabinet post on Sean O'Brien's recommendation. New from me, so he's a writer for the National Review. Now, we're not going to bore you guys by reading from the National Review, but we do have a fun article in a much more fun outlet coming up in just a moment. Fred Wazolik says if either Barack Obama or Joe Biden had nominated Lori Chavez-DeRemer Secretary of Labor, Republicans would have unanimously opposed the nomination. Republicans should unanimously oppose her nomination now. Conservatives fought card check too hard to give up now. So the New York Post was very unhappy with this pick. Trump's labor pick is toxic, anti-conservative rhino who is too close to unions, critics allege. Not serious. Now, in terms of rhino, I just want to pause here before we read this article. I think what a lot of MAGA people who gravitate to shows like ours and Jimmy's and Greenwald are kind of realizing here, hopefully they're realizing here, is that you guys, you MAGA people who are open-minded and curious enough to watch shows like ours, and we love you for being here, you guys are actually the rhinos, not them. The Chamber of Commerce people, those are the Republicans. It's actually MAGA
Right.
who are the rhinos.
Right.
I mean, you guys are the ones who are willing to like buck that kind of orthodoxy much more than they do. Right. So it's actually that cohort of the MAGA base that's rhino. So don't necessarily take that as a slur. But Trump's labor pick is toxic, anti-conservative rhino. Here's the headline here from the New York Post, and we'll read some of this. This is pretty funny. President-elect Trump's nomination for labor secretary is a toxic, anti-conservative rhino with cozy ties to unions, outraged critics told the Post on Saturday. So they had the exclusive on some of this. During her single term on the Hill, Lori Chavez-DeRemer has backed a laundry list of boilerplate liberal policies at odds with long-standing Republican orthodoxies, including strengthening unions' efforts to organize the private sector, amnesty for illegal immigrants, and championing expanding government employee unions. The signaling effect alone from this nomination would be that the Trump administration is not serious about deregulation or economic growth. Ken Girardin, labor expert at the... Yeah, I love the name of this organization. Labor expert at the Conservative Empire Center for Public Policy told the Post. One of the biggest red flags for critics is the fact that Chavez-DeRemer was one of only 3 House Republicans who co-sponsored the radical union-backed PRO Act. So obviously New York Post very friendly in their editorial bent to the people who have complaints about this nomination. The bill, which failed to pass out of the House in 2023, would have banned right-to-work laws in over 24 states, which allow employees to opt out of paying union dues, devastated the gig economy by restricting independent contractor classifications, and forced employers to hand over their workers' personal information. In this woman's America, every worker would have to have a boss and pay the union for the privilege of working, said Grover Norquist, founder and president of Americans for Tax Reform. That guy is still around. This is an outrage. This is not mildly bad. This is a huge thing that she voted for. Teamsters president Sean O'Brien, who met with Trump in Mar-a-Lago in January and spoke at the RNC despite not endorsing him in his 2024 White House run, pushed for Chavez-DeRemer to clinch a cabinet post, a Trump World insider said. Sean O'Brien of the Teamsters did that, the insider said. Trump and O'Brien are closer than people understand. Union support was a crucial factor for Trump's election win in November. Despite the Teamsters' refusal to endorse a candidate in 2024, internal polling conducted by the union found nearly 60% of its rank and file nationwide back Trump. So that sentence is kind of oddly written, because what you could really glean from that is that because 60% of the rank and file backed Trump, the union decided not to endorse.
Right,
It was probably
right,
still a bridge too
right.
far for the Teamsters to endorse Trump, but they didn't endorse Kamala
Right.
because there was
Right.
overwhelming rank and file support for Trump. Rank and file labor was an important part of his coalition, but I don't think Chavez-DeRemer is any good at all. People are very worried about her. What people? You?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
You.
person close to Trump.
Yes, people in the north of $5 million a year
You
income
got Don
bracket.
Jr.
Yeah,
People are really worried.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, business won't like her. Chamber of Commerce won't like her. This was not a great appointment. Well, you know what? A business and Chamber of Commerce, you know what they don't represent very well? Labor. She's the labor secretary. The whole position is supposed to be a counterweight to the Chamber of Commerce. That's the whole point of having a labor secretary. So the one good pick that he makes, they melt down over. And now you have the opposite kind of question. Does she get through? Does she get through? Do all the Republicans vote against her? Do the Democrats vote for her? And is that enough? That's really interesting. But you know who played his cards just right this season? Sean O'Brien. Sean O'Brien at the Teamsters really maneuvered very, very well. He said, we're open to endorsing either candidate. We're not going with the Democrat as we typically do. So he gets invited to the RNC. He makes a speech. The Democrats disinvite him because he spoke at the RNC. Another brilliant move by the Kamala Harris campaign.
They are
really.
It's really it's really the mean girl party.
Right,
Oh my
exactly,
God!
yeah.
He spoke at the Republicans. While you tell him we don't want him speaking here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to build coalitions.
Brilliant decision that was. Really paid off big time. Trump wins. He grabs his ear. He gets this appointment through. Now, is this appointment enough to counterbalance all of the just fanatically pro Wall Street picks that he's put in there, that he's flooded his cabinet with? No, but O'Brien did navigate this pretty well. It was pretty shrewd operating on his part. Now the question is, does she get confirmed? Does the whole party rebel against her?
It seems to me, we will see what happens, but do you think Trump is really going to stick his neck out for this nomination?
Right.
Trump is not pro-union, and certainly his new Steve Bannon, Elon, is not pro-union. They laughed about it in their Spaces interview about how great it is the way Elon goes in and fires people who try to unionize at Tesla. So Trump's not pro-union. He's making a gesture to Sean O'Brien and to the Teamsters by nominating her. But again, look what happened with Gates. Look what I think's gonna happen with his other MAGA nominees. Like, I think most of these nominations are for show and are unlikely to clear the Senate, because this is still, in spite of the fact that their base has become very working class, this is still the party of Reagan. If you look at everything they're talking about with Doge, it's very funny seeing them recast just basic trickle down Reaganomics as punk rock, as edgy, as manly, right? to go. It's just bargain basement trickle down economics. So I think any pick that you might be excited about is very unlikely to be confirmed, and the people that you are going to end up with are going to be business as usual, and business as usual under the circumstances of what the underpinnings of our economy really are at this point, which is smoke, mirrors, money printing, but not in the way they talk about. They love to talk about money printing in the CARES Act and during COVID for the common people. What they don't tell you about is all the money printing they did after 2008 to prop up Wall Street.
Right.
That is why we have an enormous asset bubble. They want to talk about inflated prices of chicken and eggs. What about inflated prices of houses? What
Right.
about the inflated prices of the stock market? Where'd all that money come from? Why'd it get so inflated? Because the Fed printed all of this money, dumped it on Wall Street, And what did these guys do? They inflated all of the asset prices. They started buying up private homes and turning into landlords. That's the side of, that money printing definitely caused inflation. You notice they never talk about that. They never talk about that. They talk about the money printing that went to normal people. They never talk about the money printing that went to them.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I mean, Elon put that meme out there about government overspending is the cause of inflation.
On you guys.
Yeah, on you guys.
on you guys. Never mentions that. He doesn't mention how much money he gets in government contracts.
Of course, right. Exactly.
Right? So what are these guys going to do? I mean, they've said it straight out. Malay. They're going to go Malay. How do you think that's going to go for people? They're just going to try to continue. They're not going to check their privileges. They're not going to check the money printing on their part. So I think you're going to wind up with these kinds of picks just getting shot down. And they're going to do this insane Argentinian kind of an experiment on the American economy. And the American economy is too distorted, not by what they say, but by things that benefited them, to bear the brunt of the kind of insane experiments that they're planning on carrying out.
Please clap.